Okay, picture of Tanzania. I think a lot of our story is about Tanzania, and today we're likely to have questions about that. Usual material. I noticed we were in Share magazine supplement about September time, and our market cap since then has gone down about 20–25%. Which reflects the general malaise of the oil and gas industry at this time, rather than anything that we have done, or at least I'd like to believe that, and I'll try and demonstrate it to you. Our market cap about 25 million, so we're the smallest of the companies that are presenting today. We do have a lot of shares in issue. We get traded a great deal. We are a day traded stock with, I think some of our other presenters will be quite surprised, we have 5.5 billion shares in issue. Main interest is in Tanzania. That's where we are a soon-to-be producer, explorer and developer of gas. Gas somewhat more fixed in terms of pricing model than oil, and yet still we are suffering from the general fall in commodity prices. West Africa, we have an initial joint venture there for an oil development which is progressing. We're participants in the Weald Basin here in the UK. We have an enhanced oil recovery project which is currently dormant in Canada due to operator issues, and we're constantly looking at renewing and refreshing the portfolio through joint ventures with the operators active in the countries. So we're very keen on selecting operators who are successful in the areas they operate. And that's one of our main criteria for a new venture is, are we confident that the operator will be successful? Leveraging capital, we're looking for projects which are either overlooked or in difficult geographies. That comes with certain knock-on issues as a news taker. Again, we are not creating the activity on which we are investing. We have to manage that, monitor it, and report it to you, our investment community. The board, Fergus is here in the room. I have one executive director with me. We have a very small board and we have no employees. Again, something that probably is not common to companies who present here. We've heard numbers very high in Liberia for employees, down to a software company with 250. We have no employees. These are the only people who work for the company on a full-time, or not even a full-time basis. Many of you are investors, possibly also in other companies, and my other job is the CEO of LGO Energy. Fergus is also involved with that. So a small team looking at investments and delivering that through third parties, which is the way we work. So let's look at Tanzania. Tanzania opportunity is huge. It's a fledgling country getting into the oil and gas space. Over the next 20–25 years, it will supply very large volumes of gas to the international market. We're not involved in those large offshore, yet to be LNG schemed gas. We're involved onshore with gas which will be supplied to the local market. The infrastructure for that has been developed, sorry, that's the wrong one, it has been developed very rapidly. We're in the south of the country. The map doesn't extend north to Dar es Salaam, the capital, but that's where the principal market for our gas is. We've made some discoveries. Again, the metrics of gas are very different from those that we've been talking about in other spheres of influence and activity that we've been hearing about this evening. But 4 TCF of gas is a very large volume of gas for a country like Tanzania, and they have something like 80 TCF of gas discovered offshore, so 20-fold our onshore prospectivity, which is why export is the expected model for that. That takes a long time to build. We have something which can be commercialized much more quickly. This morning we reported a farm out. Farming out is a standard process in the oil and gas industry where instead of raising additional capital, you use the capital in the project to get new investment in from third parties. And I have a slide on that in a minute. I'm going to skip that one pretty well straight away. There's a lot of history here. We've been around in this project for about 4 or 5 years now. We've made 2 gas discoveries and we have a lot more prospectivity, 6,000 square kilometers still under license there. We had a flow test of gas successfully 2 years ago, and since then we've been looking at how to commercialize this gas. It was stranded when we discovered it. These volumes equivalent to something like 400 or 500 barrels a day on test, if you're more familiar with oil than gas. And we have a commercial scale development to do here, but it could be a lot larger. The phase between discovery and development involves appraisal, and we've been doing seismic to delineate where that appraisal should be, and the next phase is to drill some appraisal wells, which is what we've arranged through a farm out announced this morning. We and the operator Ammonex have been working closely together. As I say, we have to deliver through the operators of these ventures. We work very closely with Ammonex in Tanzania, and jointly we are farming out to another AIM junior company, bopd. They're coming into this project to take 50% interest. That will come a quarter from us and 2 3/4 from Ammonex. They will fund the first 2 appraisal wells on the Notoria discovery where we had the good flow test, and that work is expected to kick off in early 2016. This is a good time to be doing this work because rig rates are down, the depression of the industry and the oversupply, which is causing oil prices and gas-linked oil price to be low, means that the service costs are also down. So this is a good time to be appraising. The other reason this is a good time to be going forward with this arrangement and getting the appraisal underway is that the gas pipeline that takes our commodity from this area to the market in Dar es Salaam has now been commissioned. This was as one of the earlier slides said, this was a Chinese-built, Chinese-financed 36-inch gas line. There isn't enough gas to fill it by a very large margin, so bringing our gas to that market at this time is ideally timed. That's the pipeline, a very big project, 500 kilometers almost of 36-inch line from our license area in the south through past Songa Songa Island, which I'll touch on in a minute because we're due to start production of a different gas discovery there shortly to Dar es Salaam. A huge market for gas in Dar es Salaam, for power and also for direct use in industry for Tanzania. And at the moment that pipeline is about 10% full, so there's a massive amount of ullage available at this time. I said I'd mention Songa Island. We did acquire an interest there also with Amonex as operator to the Kiliwani North development, which is due on stream any time now. We've been waiting for a number of events, but most recently the election of a new government. That has, of course, gone through now, and we have the preceding government has been put back in office, so we're expecting to see some progress here with the gas sales agreement. That's more or less the only step that this development now has pending. The wells are tied to the processing plant. The processing plant is tied to this new 36-inch line to Dar es Salaam, and there are customers waiting. So the gas sales agreement will also trigger us having the option to buy another 6.5%. Those interests will be slightly diluted by the state company backing in for 5% to this venture, but actually that's extremely good news, because if the state company is your partner, they are aligned with you in getting the development moved forward. And of course, the announcement this morning, we are retaining our position in Kiliwani North, but Boliden have bought in for 25% of this project. They've acquired that for $13.5 million. I think that's a testament to the gas sales agreement being imminent. They wouldn't have done that unless this was about to happen. And really there is no reason other than Tanzania is a fledgling state in Africa that's working out its governance and making sure that it does things properly under the scrutiny of, for example, the World Bank. So that will hopefully come on stream in the next few months, certainly. We were hoping it would have been in the summer. It has been physically possible to do it from about August. The change of government in September. We're now in November. You may reasonably ask what is stopping it. I don't know. There is no reason why this gas sales agreement can't commence. And we're estimating 30 million standard cubic feet a day from the first well on Kiliwani North. That's similar to the test results that we had from Notoria, which I was showing you earlier. So, I mean, this probably doesn't say anything that I haven't already said. I mean, operationally, we work very closely with Amonex to move this discovery into commercialization. That includes the farm out, which we've just done. The farming down was a joint exercise. We started it actually 3 years ago in a very different world with much higher commodity prices. We had interest from a lot of companies. The price of commodities has fallen. Perhaps the deal isn't quite as good as we had hoped it would have been then, but today I don't think there are very many farm-out deals going through at the moment. Roland couldn't think of any that had gone through in the last 6 months. It's a testament to the quality of this project that we've managed to get this to happen. And analysts this morning were universally saying it was a good deal, somewhere between good and excellent for all parties, and I certainly endorse that view. Otherwise we wouldn't have done it. In the UK, we're involved with the Gatwick Gusher, as it has been completely inappropriately labelled, and I'm on camera saying that, and I will probably pay the price for that, but this is a well that hasn't flowed yet. We're waiting for a flow test on this well. However, it is a discovery. We bought a 10% interest in Horse Hill Development Limited off the back of our geological work that we believed that this would be a Portlandian oil discovery. It indeed was. We are waiting for that to be tested. We believe it can flow at commercial rates, but that needs to be demonstrated. Undoubtedly, Wealdian developments of this scale can be done. You can get the planning permission, you can produce oil on this scale. What the well, however, also demonstrated, which is why it's got so much notoriety, is that there is a mature oil zone in the Kimmeridge. Now, the Kimmeridge is a well-known oil source. It's the source of most of the oil in the North Sea. It's not exactly a major discovery to find that the Kimmeridge has oil in it. But what was surprising to people, including us, was that how mature it was for oil generation, leading to these very, very large numbers that have been estimated by some of the world-leading companies, Schlumberger and Newtek, in unconventionals. Very, very large volumes of oil can be generated from the Kimmeridge and may well be present in the Weald. The question, of course, is recovery. We're getting some initial ideas now about how this could be recovered without fracking, and that's, of course, a very good news. I think we are concerned about the likelihood of getting major development in the Weald Basin for an unconventional, as opposed to the Portlandian discovery that we believe can be developed. So it's work very much in progress at the moment. The numbers are huge, but a lot more needs to be done, both in terms of good science, but also how this could be developed within the context of the UK. This is not the US for a number of reasons. We have much higher density of population. We also have the rights owned by the state as opposed by individuals, which gives a different bias to how much development is likely to occur. But it's something to be looking at for the future, and we maintain a 6.5% interest in this development. I mentioned West Africa. Here we only have a seed investment. We have bought into a joint venture which has rights to a couple of what are called in Nigeria marginal fields, but actually they were marginal to the international majors that discovered them. For companies of our size and with our partners who are independent companies and local indigenous companies, these numbers are quite large, and the amount of work required to get these on production is relatively small. They're already discovered. They've been discovered using the money of the international majors, and the question is about getting a development scheme fully sanctioned and underway. This is something that we'll be monitoring for the next few years, but we have the seed investment done already. In Canada, we do have rights to nearly 30% of a project on the Lake Ontario shore. It is currently mothballed, pending getting finance to the operator. The operator, Reef Resources, have been unable to meet their financial obligations. We maintain the licenses and the development, but we haven't found a successful way forward for this scheme. It is a gas cycling scheme. It involves buying gas or trading gas and cycling it through a well-known reservoir, which we've successfully drilled, to bring up oil. So you're using gas as a mechanism for bringing oil from the subsurface. But the project isn't moving forward at the moment. If the Ozzabal field is successfully developed, then there are follow-on opportunities here. We have a large three-dimensional seismic survey. It shows large features that are both underdeveloped or untested in terms of that's the Ozzabal reef there, and there are a string of similar platform reefs coming off in this direction. That's work that could enhance the value here, but first of all, we have to get the core facility actually up and running. So I'll just summarize that. It was 0 minutes remaining. Tanzania, we've had a successful exploration track record. We've made a commercial discovery at Notoria. Actually, we made a further discovery at the first well, Lakonde, but we're unable to test it due to the overpressure of the gas. That's something to return to, but for the time being, Notoria needs appraisal. We've just funded that through a farm out. That work is expected to get underway early next year, taking advantage of a rig market, which is quite soft at the moment. And our maiden production from Kiliwani North development lease should be underway any time now. Everything is in place, but the paperwork, and that's very frustrating for the company and for our shareholders when everything physically is hooked up and there's a buyer waiting to buy and we can't sell. We have a successful exploration track record in the UK. We've only drilled one well. It was a discovery, but it discovered not only the Portlandian that we expected to be there, but also this very thick and potentially huge Jurassic oil play as well. And in a way that will slow the development because we have to think about how we do both as opposed to just getting on with the Portlandian. There are follow-up opportunities in those blocks, and indeed we made a joint application for the Isle of Wight in the 14th round. That's part of the 14th round that's still pending award. The government decided they would award the unconventional licenses. This is a conventional play off the Isle of Wight. In Nigeria, we're in a holding position, but 2P gross reserves of 60 million barrels, and we have a 20% interest in that. And then finally, we're always on the lookout for new opportunities. We act effectively as a special situations fund. People bring us opportunities in the oil and gas space. We are willing to invest anything from into the top co of a private company all the way through to directly into the assets and anything in between. If the opportunity has a good operator, good leverage of our capital, and has growth written across it, then we're interested. And we evaluate probably about one opportunity a month, I would say, on average. So that's the story. Thank you, Roland.
Thank you very much indeed. Do we have any questions, please? If you have any